If you're constantly chasing her texts, begging for her time, or bending over backwards just to stay in her life, stop. That's not love. That's anxiety wearing a mask. That's your fear of abandonment disguised as effort. You're not pursuing love, you're running from your own emptiness, hoping someone else will fill it. When you chase love, you make it run. Why? Because what you're really doing is handing over your power in exchange for attention. You think if you just prove your worth, she'll finally see you. But love that needs convincing was never real to begin with. Real connection doesn't start with pursuit. It starts with presence. It begins when you stop proving, stop performing, and start being, fully, unapologetically, you. That's when love becomes effortless. That's when the right person isn't running away, but walking toward you. If you're ready to stop chasing and start becoming the kind of man who attracts deep, meaningful connection, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications. This channel is your space to reclaim your power, your purpose, and your peace. Let's build from the inside out. Why you must stop chasing. Modern dating is broken, and one of the biggest reasons is this: too many people are chasing love instead of attracting it. Especially men. You chase texts. You chase time. You chase validation. But every step you take trying to earn someone's love only pushes it further away. Why? Because chasing comes from lack, not power. Real connection is never hunted. It's drawn in, magnetically, by who you become. This isn't just dating advice. This is a spiritual shift, a psychological transformation, and a return to your authentic self. This guide will break down why chasing love ruins your chances of ever finding it, and how to build the inner foundation for real, lasting connection. Through principles drawn from Stoicism, modern psychology, and raw masculine experience, you'll discover why chasing is beneath you, and how to rise above it. 1. The psychology of the chase. Chasing love isn't about desire, it's about fear. It's the fear of not being enough. The fear of being alone. The fear of never being chosen. When you chase, you project neediness. And neediness repels love. It's not because people are cruel, it's because need signals instability. Deep down, no one wants to be responsible for someone else's identity. Real attraction happens when two whole people meet, not when one is trying to complete the other. We'll explore the scarcity mindset, trauma bonding and anxious attachment, how social media fuels validation addiction, the difference between attraction and approval seeking. 2. Masculine energy doesn't chase. In nature, masculine energy is grounded, directed, and still. It doesn't run. It leads. It attracts. When a man is in his masculine energy, he is mission-focused. His attention is on his purpose, not on pleasing. He doesn't beg, chase, or explain. He decides. And that quiet strength is what draws real feminine energy in. What will break down? How chasing kills your masculine frame. The power of emotional self-control. Why purpose is more attractive than persistence. Stoic practices to reclaim inner stability. 3. Stop chasing, start leading. Men were not meant to chase. They were meant to lead. But not in an aggressive, dominating way, in a grounded, self-possessed way. To lead in love means to be decisive, emotionally present, and strong enough to walk away when something doesn't align. You lead by example, by your standards, by your emotional discipline. Key lessons. Standards versus expectations in dating. The leadership mindset in relationships. Walking away as an act of power. How silence can be louder than words. 4. The myth of winning her over. Hollywood lied. You don't win her over with grand gestures or endless pursuit. That only works in movies. In reality, the more you try to convince someone to love you, the less they respect you. Love isn't earned through chasing. Love is aligned. It clicks. It flows. It feels easy, not because there's no effort, but because the effort isn't one-sided. You'll discover why attraction must be mutual, not manufactured. How trying too hard signals low value. The energy dynamic of giving versus proving. How to let go of those who don't choose you. 5. Emotional detachment is power. Detachment doesn't mean you don't care. It means you don't crumble. It means you care without losing yourself. Emotional detachment is the key to maintaining your center in the face of chaos. When you stop needing someone to behave a certain way to feel okay, you become unshakable. Topics include the Stoic art of control and surrender. Letting go of outcome attachment. How to stay calm when you feel rejected. Grounding practices for emotional regulation. 6. Build your inner world. You cannot attract real love until you become someone who doesn't need it to feel whole. Love can enhance your life, but it should never be your escape from it. The moment you build a world within yourself that is strong, purpose-driven, and fulfilling, you stop grasping for connection and start radiating it. Inner work is not optional. It is the ground you stand on. The stronger your inner world, the less you tolerate relationships that diminish you, and the more naturally you attract those that match your emotional depth. What we cover in this chapter. Building a purpose-driven life. When you wake up with a reason beyond just finding love, you develop gravity. A man on a mission doesn't chase approval, he builds something worth inviting someone into. This chapter guides you through discovering your core values, clarifying your long-term vision, and designing a life that feels meaningful with or without a partner. Creating emotional self-sufficiency. Emotional dependency is not love, it's survival in disguise. Learn how to process your emotions, calm your inner chaos, and become the kind of man who doesn't look to women to rescue him from himself. The power of hobbies, health, and goals. Your time is sacred. When you invest it into hobbies that fuel you, fitness that strengthens you, and goals that stretch you, you become less reactive to rejection and more selective with who enters your space. Shadow work and healing your inner wounds. Unhealed wounds attract people who will unconsciously press on them. Shadow work helps you bring light to your pain, process the past, and stop repeating the same emotional patterns in new relationships. Because what you don't heal, you'll end up handing to someone else. 7. Cultivating real connection. Real connection isn't built on smooth lines, impressive texts, or performance, it's born from presence. When you're grounded in yourself and emotionally open, you create a space for others to be real with you. That's where intimacy starts. But presence isn't passive. It takes strength to be vulnerable without collapsing into neediness, and wisdom to set boundaries without building walls. This is how meaningful relationships are formed, not by impressing, but by revealing. What we dive into in this chapter. Authenticity versus performance in dating. Attraction fades when it's built on an act. Learn how to drop the mask and show up as your real self from day one, not just to impress, but to truly connect. When you express instead of perform, you stop attracting people who only like the highlight reel. How to open up without losing your edge. Vulnerability doesn't mean oversharing or being weak, it means being honest and emotionally congruent. You'll learn how to express your truth in a way that builds connection and keeps your masculine center intact. Why deep connection requires deep self-awareness. You can't connect deeply with others if you haven't first connected deeply with yourself. This section walks you through reflective practices to better understand your emotional needs, boundaries, and relational triggers. The power of masculine vulnerability. Real strength is being able to feel without being controlled by those feelings. When you can lead with your heart, without abandoning your backbone, you create the space for real intimacy without compromising your integrity. 8. The high-value man's relationship blueprint. Not all love is worth keeping. A high-value man knows that who you love matters as much as how you love. He doesn't settle for chemistry if there's no compatibility. He knows the red flags. He recognizes the green lights. And he's willing to walk away from what's not aligned. This chapter gives you a strategic and emotional framework to evaluate relationships. Green flags to look for in a woman. Emotional intelligence, kindness, accountability, and a willingness to grow, these are traits that stand the test of time. We break down the qualities that signal long-term partnership potential. Emotional maturity and feminine reciprocity. You should never have to earn basic respect or chase emotional availability. You'll learn how to recognize when a woman is reciprocating your energy, or just receiving it passively without investment. Core values compatibility. Shared interests are fun, but shared values are vital. We help you define your non-negotiables and learn how to identify someone whose lifestyle, vision, and emotional pace align with your own. How to lead a relationship without control. Leadership in love is not about domination, it's about direction, intention, and security. We explore how to lead with strength while respecting her autonomy, and how to co-create a dynamic that thrives on mutual respect. 9. Stop chasing, start choosing. This is where everything shifts. You're no longer waiting to be chosen, you're doing the choosing. You're not chasing potential, you're filtering for alignment. You no longer wonder, does she like me? You ask, do I like the way I feel around her? You stop operating from a place of scarcity and start dating from a place of clarity. You become the man who doesn't fall for a woman's attention, but rises in response to her character. In this final transformation phase, we cover reclaiming your identity in dating. Who are you without the chase? Without the need to prove yourself? This section helps you reconnect with your values, your vision, and your self-worth outside of any romantic outcome. The power of having options. Not to play games, but to stay grounded. When you have options, you don't overinvest in someone who hasn't earned it. You don't tolerate disrespect out of fear. You move from a position of self-respect, not scarcity. Dating with intention, not desperation. You stop trying to get a girlfriend and start asking, who deserves access to my energy? This part teaches you how to lead with discernment, set a high standard, and choose partners who elevate your life. How to love without losing yourself. Healthy love doesn't require you to shrink, submit, or self-abandon. Learn how to love fully, stay emotionally open, and build something real, without ever losing your center. Conclusion: you are the prize. At the end of it all, remember this truth. You were never meant to convince anyone of your worth. You were meant to embody it. Let that land. Let it echo. Because the moment you stop trying to become enough for someone else is the moment you realize, you already are. You don't chase love. You become love. You become so full of purpose, so rich in discipline, so emotionally grounded that love doesn't complete you, it joins you. You stop asking, do they want me, and start asking, do they deserve access to me? This is the awakening. The reclamation. The point of no return. Once you see your worth clearly, you can never unsee it. The myth of being chosen. Most men were raised to seek approval, through achievement, performance, or validation. We were taught, directly or indirectly, that love is something you earn by being good enough, smart enough, successful enough, attractive enough. And so we became chasers. We chased love like it was a finish line. We chased women like they were a trophy. We chased validation like it was the oxygen we needed to breathe. But here's the bitter truth about chasing. When you chase something, you place it above you. You imply that what you're chasing is more valuable than you are. You unconsciously say, this love is the prize. This woman is the reward. And I'm the one who has to prove myself. It's exhausting. And it's backwards. The second you flip that script, everything changes. You're not here to be chosen. You're here to choose. You're not a passive character in someone else's story. You are the author of your own. When you realize you are the prize, you no longer beg to be loved, you become the one who decides what love looks like. Love is not a performance. If you've ever tried to win someone over, impress them, or hide parts of yourself to stay desirable, you already know, it doesn't work long term. It's emotional quicksand. You sink deeper the more you try. Because real love isn't earned through performance. It's revealed through presence. When you constantly try to be enough for someone else, you betray your own authenticity. Real connection begins the moment you stop performing and start being. When you show up as your whole self, flaws, truths, boundaries, and all, you give others the permission to do the same. This is where true intimacy starts, not in perfection, but in realness. Not in pretending to be what someone wants, but in being so secure in who you are that you're not afraid to let them see it. Wholeness attracts wholeness. Love isn't meant to complete you, it's meant to complement the life you've already built. That means your deepest work is not about finding someone. It's about becoming someone. Become the man who doesn't need love to feel validated. Become the man who walks into a room not trying to be chosen, but knowing he brings value. Become the man who can walk away, not because he's cold, but because he won't settle for half-hearted connection. This is magnetic. When you are full of purpose, self-respect, and emotional clarity, you stop attracting people who feed on your insecurity. You start attracting people who respect your energy, because you respect it first. The power of standards. Most men don't need more lines, more tactics, more games. What they need is standards. Having standards means you don't let chemistry override character. It means you know the difference between being wanted and being valued. It means you don't chase someone who is emotionally unavailable. You don't pursue someone who doesn't reciprocate. You don't tolerate disrespect, drama, or inconsistency just to avoid being alone. Because you are not afraid of solitude, you are only afraid of wasting yourself on people who don't know how to love at your level. Standards are not walls. They are filters. They don't block love, they protect it. And the more you honor your standards, the more you show the world how to treat you. Masculine energy is not neediness, it's grounded power. True masculine energy doesn't chase. It attracts. It doesn't force. It leads. It doesn't beg. It chooses. That doesn't mean you become emotionally unavailable. It means you become emotionally self-sufficient. You don't collapse into desperation when a woman pulls away. You don't spiral into overthinking when things feel uncertain. You stay rooted, calm, decisive. Because your inner world is your anchor, not her behavior. The more grounded you are in your own identity, the less you seek it in someone else. Masculine power is not about domination or stoicism, it's about presence and direction. It's the power to say, this is who I am. This is where I'm going. And if you're aligned, let's build something. If not, I won't lose myself trying to make you stay. You are not here to prove, you are here to protect. Here's a hard truth. Many men waste years trying to prove their worth to women who were never capable of receiving it. But you are not a show. You are not a project. You are not a fixer-upper hoping someone will finally see your potential. You are a builder. A protector. A king in the making. Your job is not to impress, it's to discern. Who is aligned with your mission? Who respects your time, energy, and boundaries? Who meets you with depth, clarity, and emotional maturity? Because if love requires you to lose yourself, abandon your purpose, or suppress your truth, it's not love. It's survival in disguise. You don't have to be enough for someone who doesn't even know what enough feels like. You don't have to prove your masculinity to someone who needs chaos to feel connection. You are the prize. Not because you say it. Because you live it. The man who walks away wins. Sometimes the strongest thing a man can do is walk away. Not out of anger. Not as a game, but out of truth. A high-value man doesn't stay where he's disrespected. He doesn't fight for crumbs. He doesn't chase someone who's emotionally checked out. Why? Because his life is too valuable. His energy is too focused. His mission is too important. Walking away doesn't make you weak. It makes you wise. It's not rejection, it's redirection. You're not losing love. You're making room for a love that matches your value. This is emotional leadership. Choosing alignment over attachment. Peace over performance. Self-respect over self-sacrifice. Love will meet you at your level. The love you attract is a reflection of the standards you hold. If you chase love, you attract chaos. If you settle, you attract takers. If you perform, you attract spectators. But when you embody love, when you lead with clarity, when you live in your values, something powerful happens. You stop finding love in others and start recognizing it in yourself. And that's when it finds you, without games, without masks, without force. Love will meet you at your level of self-respect. So raise your level. Elevate your standard. Not out of ego, but out of truth. Because the version of you who has done the inner work, healed his wounds, created his mission, and led with honesty is not chasing. He's attracting. And only what's real can reach him. Build a life you love, and let love join it. Here's the real game. Stop trying to find someone to build your life with. Build your life, and let the right one find you in the process. Love shouldn't feel like the finish line, it should feel like fuel. Let your life be so rich with meaning, growth, health, purpose, and joy that love becomes an addition, not your identity. And when it does arrive, you'll meet it as a whole man. Not one looking to be saved, but one looking to share. Not one afraid of being alone, but one wise enough to wait for something worth your solitude. Because love is not the goal. Wholeness is. And from wholeness, everything good flows. Final words. Reclaim your crown. There's a man inside of you who never begged. Who never chased. Who never settled. A man who knows who he is, what he's worth, and where he's going. He's not bitter. He's not closed off. He's just done with performing. He's done with convincing. He's done with apologizing for his standards. He's not for everyone, and he's okay with that. Because the people who are for him will meet him in his power, not his pain. This man, you, are the prize. Not because you have it all figured out. Not because you're perfect. But because you've chosen to rise, to grow, and to lead your own life instead of outsourcing it to the whims of others. So stop chasing. Stop waiting to be picked. Start building. Start choosing. Start rising. Let love find you at your highest frequency, not your lowest chase. You are the prize. Now live like it.